So the time that we have left, we're going to be checking out the Ketoret just to get a sense of it, a sense, pun intended, a sense of the sense. And I just got this delivered to me about a week ago, and since then, when I say in the davening in the morning, when I talk about the Ketoret, it just doesn't have the same experience anymore. It's like, oh, I know what this is. I know what it smells like. So it's going to be interesting. We're going to learn also about the laws of brachos, the blessings that are made on different types of smells. It's actually, we're not going to cover everything, but we'll get a little taste of it, and there'll be hopefully more opportunities to go even deeper. Like Rabbi Yosef said, the aroma of the Ketoret, of the incense in the Beis HaMikdash was powerful. It lasted. It spread very far. It was hard for me to, understand how a smell could travel so far until a month ago, when in New York was plagued with the smell of a barbecue, which came from Canada. And I wasn't there. My parents told me about it. It smelled like it's just next door. So if the wind is in the right direction, it could bring a smell very far. Especially, we're not just talking about a smell of a bottle, but smoke. Smoke travels wherever the wind will take it, and it brings the aroma together with it. What we have here in front of us is a copy of the Seder HaKetoret, that we say every morning before davening, and before mincha as well. And in some Sidurim, you have it also at the end of davening, at the end of Shacharis another time. And it does sound like, my mother says, it sounds like Chinese, all these words, what do they mean? Very hard to have patience to say it. But once you understand what it means, it's a little bit more, has a different, and then you can start thinking also about the deeper ideas like Rabbi Rosen was talking about before. So, in the Torah talks about 4 ingredients of the Ketoret. What are they? If you read here at the beginning, Vayomer Hashem al Moshe, Kach lecha samim. There's a translation in English. If anyone needs glasses, you can borrow from Dave.
If anyone needs a bathroom,
so I was here last week, and for some reason, and then I saw Dave's garden here with all the different plants, and a lot of them have very good, excellent special smells. And one of them happened to be an ingredient in the Ketoret, which we'll get to soon. So this is a perfect venue for this year. So the Torah says, take 4 ingredients. What are they? Nataf, shchelet, chelbina, and then levona. Kach lecha samim, nataf, shchelet, chelbina, samim, levona zakah, bad bevadiyah. What does bad bevadiyah mean? Bad bevad means the same amount, equal amounts of each of these ingredients. Vasito to ketoret, make from this, make a ketoret, make an incense. Rokach maise rokeach. Here he translates that as expertly mixing the ingredients. When we talk about pitum haktoret, that phrase pitum means mixing the ingredients. It was a expert. You needed real top experts to know how to do it. You could take the same ingredients, almost like cooking food. You take potatoes and some spices and meat. You can put the meat in a pot, and it will come out however it comes out. If you're an expert, if you're good, you know how to cook, you can make a delicacy out of it. The same thing is also with Ketoret. There's special ways of mixing different ingredients and have an effect. The combination of different ingredients together and the quantities and how you prepare them has a very big impact on the perfume, on the incense that's gonna come out of it. So it has to be with a professional. Memulach tohar kodesh, into a well-blended mixture. So they'll take these different ingredients, and as the pasuk says, "V'shachakta mimena hadek," you take these ingredients are dry ingredients. You how would you say v'shachakta? You grind them together into a powder, and this powder is called the Ketoret of the Beis HaMikdash, and we'll see soon in the next piece about what was done with it. Let's skip to the next page. Tanu Rabbana. The rabbis taught, Pitum Akteres Ketzad, how do you mix the Ketoret? What's done? And the answer is like this. 368 manim hayuba. Altogether, There were 368 manim. How much is a maneh? How much is that? It's a certain weight. How much does one maneh weigh?
No, okay.
No, that's something else. We'll get to that in a second. So a maneh is 480 grams, which is about a half a kilogram, a little bit less. So times 368.
Pound.
About a pound, yeah. Just about a pound. Altogether, the total amount was enough for 368. Why 368? Because the year has 365 days. On average, the Jewish year has a little more, a little less, but on average it's 365. Every 19 years or so it adds up to that average. So you need to have one maneh per day, plus another 3. Why another 3? So it says the extra 3, 365 כמניין ימות החמה, maneh lechol yom. Every day you need one maneh. That maneh, that pound of ketoret, was split in half. Half for the morning. Huh?
What about Shana Mu'uberet when you have another?
So the average was enough. So you had that make a full year's worth of ketoret. That would make it, probably before a regular year, not a leap year. So there was enough for that year, and then they would have extras from the years before that add up to be enough for the. But it's a great question. If they would make it the wrong year, they'd need to add some more. So half a pound in the morning of ketoret, half a pound. Pras bein
Half a
ha'arbaim.
kilo, not half a pound.
No, maneh is a pound. An entire maneh is a pound, or a half a kilo. That half would be split. So 450 grams, 480 grams split into half. So you have 240 in the morning, 240 in the afternoon. Okay? And then there was another 3 for Yom Kippur. Yom Kippur, there was extra ketoras that was brought. That's what we'll read about on the Machzor. And then there's some more instructions. What's done on Yom Kippur would be ground extra to be extra fine. Okay, then we get to the list of the ingredients. And this is where Rabbi Rosen was saying about the counting. A lot of people would count them. And this is the list of the 11 ingredients. Number 1, hatzari.
You said there were 4 at the beginning.
So the Torah talks about 4. And then the rabbis say there was actually 11. And how did 4 get to 11? Because the Torah says there's also samim. What does samim mean? Drugs, right? And samim also means, in Israel, it means drugs. Some people importing Ketoret actually got stopped by the, it's some that are a little bit similar to
For good reason?
Yeah?
For good reason or not?
Some of them have similarities to, they raised some suspicions. So samim means spices. The Torah says that twice. Extra spices, extra. And the rabbis calculate with, I won't get into how they calculate it, but that the samim is plural. How many in total? So another couple of ingredients that we get, and we get to the number 11. We don't have time to get into the calculations, prat, prat, but that's the bottom line. So we have here, what are the 11? The first 4 are the same 4 that are mentioned in the Torah. Hatzari, Hatziporen, Hachelbena, Vehalivona. These 4 are the same 4 that the Torah calls with different names. The Torah says, if we go to the page before, what does it say? It says Nataf, Shchelet, V'chelbena, V'levona. So we have here the Chelbena and the Levona. Those 2 names stay the same even in the times of the rabbis, in the time of the Beis HaMikdash. The first 2 have different names. Shchelet was called Tziporen, and the first one, the Nataf, was called Tsari. So let's talk about those 4 before we get to the next batch. What is Tsari? So, people were looking for Tsari for a very long time because everyone's very curious about the Ketoros. You have no idea how many professors and researchers and rabbis were looking for these ingredients. What if the Beis HaMikdash is going to get rebuilt? So we need to find the ingredients. We need to have them ready. We need to have suppliers. So where are we going to get them from? We have to first know what they are. Now, according to the Rambam gives the names of these ingredients in Arabic. And so does Reb Sadia Gaon, who translated the Torah. He gives also names in Arabic. And some of those names are the same names today. So that's a good start. It's a good way to find out what they are. Interestingly, according to the Ramban, the only ingredients that really matter are the first four. In other words, those are the four that need to be the same when Mashiach comes. If we rebuild the Beis HaMikdash, the rest of them can be, those extra ones can be different. As long as you have the number, then 11, number of 11. So the Ramban says whatever will be available, you'll take those from you just buy locally whatever is available. But everyone agrees about the first four, that those are critical. So, after many years, there was actually a professor that went to Turkey. He went to 75 types of trees that were candidates, and he poked them to get the sap out of them to see whether it fits the criteria that we know historically was true about the Tsari. And none of them were good. They were all, not one of them fit the criteria. And he kept on looking. And people kept on looking until they finally, with a lot of research, and as time goes by, there's more manuscripts, and there's also pictures. There's these ancient, some manuscripts have extra pictures of the plants, and then you can look to see if it fits or not. The bottom line is there's a consensus today that the name of this plant is Afar Simon, what's called today Afar Simon, but not the Afar Simon that you can buy in the store, that fruits, that came from America.
Not from America.
I think from America.
South America.
South America. It's a modern,
It's called,
it wasn't.
By the way, the name in Spanish is kaki.
Yeah, that's a nice name. So what is this type of Afar Simon? On the label it says here, Camephora gileadensis. This was actually, Afar Simon was a separate research project. A few hundred years, people were trying to find the original Afar Simon. In other words, no one knew if it's for sure the Ketoret, if this is the first ingredient of the Ketoret, but there's a lot of sources that talk about this type of spice, this type of perfume. It was in the time of the Beis HaMikdash, there were times that this was worth 10 times the price of gold. Can you imagine? That's how valuable it was. In Ein Gedi, near Ein Gedi, there's a shul with a mosaic on the floor of the shul. And it says whoever is going to reveal the secret of this town is going to get curses. Then there's a whole list of curses. And whoever is going to steal some of the equipment that's used to collect this perfume is also going to get all these curses. And apparently the curse worked. People were afraid of it, and they didn't steal. So recently this is going back a few decades, but there was an attempt to bring it to Israel, to bring it back. Why is it called Gileadensis? Because Gilad is a place near En Gedi. This was one of the places where it was known to grow, and these secular, non-Jewish people gave 300 years ago, or 200 years ago, when they gave the names of these different Latin terms. So they picked this. They also thought that this is the Afar Simon, the original Afar Simon. And later it was confirmed, pretty much 99%, that this is it. Now, what I'm holding here is oil. It says, Afar Simon oil, but it's not 100% authentic. It has some, but it's the price of a real pure Shemen Afar Simon today is like 900 shekel for 1 cc of Shemen Afar Simon. But it's so special that the rabbis instituted a special bracha for this. There's one bracha, you said a bracha for sushi, like one new bracha. They made a special bracha for this oil. It's not said for any other oil. And what is the bracha? The bracha is Boirei Shemen Arev. The one who created Arev? Tasty. It's not tasty. Sweet. Sweet or precious.
Savory.
Savory oil. There's if you go online, you'll find more. There's videos of this. The guy who owns these trees. They brought them from Mecca. They got an Arab to go to Mecca. He brought back a branch, and then they planted. Now there's a few thousand trees like it, but still, to get the oil out of it is like a very complicated process. So this is the Shemen Afar Simon. We'll pass it around soon, but first I want to take something else that has a real bracha to it, because this I don't know what the bracha would be. It's not, if it would be real, we'd make that special bracha. But for that, maybe have to save up 900 shekel to buy it. So let's go to the next one. By the way, real Shemen Afar Simon is very flammable, and there's a story in the Gemara that some mother-in-law got upset at her daughter-in-law, which happens even today. So she decided to get rid of her. So what did she do? she said, I got you a special gift, Shema Nafar Simo, just for you. Let's start a new page. So she was so happy, like, wow, wonderful. And then the mother-in-law tells her, if you really want it to stay with you for life, like you just put it on you and it can last forever. You should go to places near like bonfires or light some candles, and then it's gonna last for the rest of your life. It's like, oh, okay, sounds good. Well, it did last for the rest of her life because it was a very short life. So that was the rabbi said to not use it for lighting Shabbos candles. There's also sparks that fly from it. It's not a good idea to put it near fire. However, what they used for the Ketoret was wood or sap from this tree, and then they would dry it and they would be able to use it for Ketoret. The next thing is tziporen.
So it wasn't oil that they were using?
They wouldn't use oil, no.
Okay.
It's good for us to smell the oils. This way we don't have it. We're not copying the secret recipe of the Ketoret, but we're getting still the same smell. The next thing is tziporen. I'll just keep that short. Tziporen seems to be a special ingredient. It's not the tziporen that we have today that we use for you can buy in the store. Huh? Cloves? It's not cloves, no. That's a modern, recently modern term for cloves. Comes from tziporen in Yiddish is negel. Negel is in some languages in German. There's a similar term to negel for cloves. This is not tziporen that they're talking about. And if we look later, we see the process that the tziporen went through in order to become ready for use in the Beis Hamikdash. There was Boris Karshina. Boris Karshina is a type of soap. Some say it's two types of soap. Boris and Karshina are two things. Very strong soap. Plus Yain Kafrisin, which means wine from Kafrisin. Kafrisin is Greece, but some people say Kafrisin is a type of fruit. It's not the country, it's local. Yain Kafrisin is a very acidic type of wine or chemical, which they would put the tziporen, the real tziporen, in order to get rid of the foul odor of the tziporen, in order to be able to use it. If you put this cloves in acid and then and wash it with soap for a long time, there'll be nothing left. Tziporen is just a dried flower. The cloves are just a dried flower. You can't, it's too delicate for that. And there's no reason to wash it, it's clean. So what is the real tziporen? The leading theory today is there's a professor, his name is Zohar Amar, I think. Zohar Amar, yeah. Very interesting guy. So he tried his luck. He took the term that the Rasag, Reb Sadia Gaon, and the Rambam mention as the translation of tziporen. In Arabic, it's Atafar al-Tib. So, if I'm pronouncing it right, Atafar al-Tib. And he goes to a spice market in Israel. This is a couple of years ago, in year 2000. And he asks the guy, do you have it? The guy says, sure. What does he pull out? He pulls out something that looks like a nail, like a fingernail, in black. It's made out of a shell. Actually, I don't know how to say it in English, but it's made out of a seashell. Seashell has before the snail comes out of it, it has a cover, a little black sort of cork. A little, so the snail shouldn't fall out. It's like a trapdoor. And we know in history, sailors would use it. They would collect these things and then light it up on their ships to get rid of the bad smells. So this was the thing that was used until today. There's still people that use it, and he was blown away. It looks like a tziporen. It's the same exact name that they're using in Arabic 1,000 years ago, and he did a lot of research on it. There's also some other research papers on it. If you can look up online by non-Jews. This guy also says he went to the United Arab Emirates for a visit. So he goes to the store just to get a kick out of it. Do you have this thing? They say, sure, we have it. And they give it to him. And then there's a lady there, a tourist from Somalia. She says, you're buying this for perfume, for incense? He says, yeah. He says, well, don't use it the way it is. You have to wash it with soap first, and then put it soak it in some kind of alcohol in order to get rid of the, snails don't smell so great, and they have all this mush on it. You want to get rid of that stuff. You only keep the actual the part that you want, and then you're able to use it for, you can light it up, and ground it and light it up. So that's the tzipora. Chelbana, let's go to Chelbana. Chelbana, we know what that is. There's a translation here in English. Anyone see the translation here?
Galbanum.
Galbanam, sounds like Chelbana, same thing, more or less. This is what Chelbana smells like. Now, Rabbi Rosen was saying before, the Chelbana, it says in the Gemara that this doesn't have a good smell. So why is it used? To teach us that when we make a public fast, we should invite even people that don't smell so great spiritually, include them as well. And Elon was hinting, Tzibur. Tzibur is a crowd. Tzibur is also an abbreviation for tzadikim, beinonim, and what else? Rishaim. So together, we make a community. So the chelbana was used also as a something that doesn't smell so great, and together with the other ingredients, it added a special effect. But first, let's smell it. You don't have to make a bracha on this. You just pass it around, and you'll see what chelbana smells like.
No good?
No,
Not terrible.
not terrible.
Not terrible.
It's not a sweet smell.
Now, I was preparing for this class. I googled it. I see that chelbana is used until today inside perfumes. Yeah, it's actually used.
It's a binding agent.
It's an agent which could help for different aspects of how it helps a perfume to be good and sharp. And Rabbeinu Nissim, one of the commentaries on the Gemara, says that even though it doesn't smell so great, but it had an effect on the rest of the ingredients that it made them much more potent. They made the odor of the scent of the other ingredients to be much more powerful. And in the same way, if we have people that they're like the chelbana of our community, they also add something else to everyone else. They add a special effect. They can make us better. And they can also make themselves better by hanging out together with us. So that's the chelbana. Okay, you like it? Maybe together with a mix it would be okay. Okay, that's a chelbana. The next one is levaina. Levaina is actually something which there's no disagreement what it is. Frankincense, and has been used uninterrupted in many, many parts of the world until today. And when we finish, we'll have Dave's going to help out with to try to light up some, and we'll see what it smells like. We want to pass it around. The bracha that we make on levaina is actually sap from a boswellia tree, or if I'm pronouncing it right, and it's used to be very common. People used it all the time. People didn't have showers back then. People didn't have deodorant. So, and there was the sanitary conditions weren't so great. There was a very strong need for perfume and incense and all these kinds of things. And people used it every day. After a meal, they would light up some incense to make things smell good. So this is Lavona. I have actually 2 bottles of it. Dave, you can pass it around.
Just looking for some.
Okay, and here is another one. Pass it the other direction. The bracha for this, make the bracha before you smell it. Baruch Ata Hashem, Elokeinu melech ha'olam, boirei atzei b'samim. Atzei b'samim. Why atzei b'samim? Atzei means wood. And since this is sap that comes from wood, the bracha remains atzei b'samim. And by the way, here there's a lot of good b'samim in this garden. So the first bracha, the king of all the brachas of when it comes to making a bracha for reach, for smelling something, is atzei b'samim. There's a few other ones. There's also isvei b'samim. Isvei b'samim is grass, is good smelling grass. So if you have grass or a plant that dies every year and it's soft, that would get the bracha of isvei b'samim. Most of the ingredients here are made from wood, so it's atzei b'samim. Now I tried last week to light it up, and when you light it up and this smoke, you can really smell it much stronger. The whole house was smelling like levaina afterwards for a few hours. So that's levaina. So these are the 4 ingredients, and you have from each one, it says shivim maneh, 70 maneh, which would be about 70 pounds. 70 pounds of each. So it's 70 times 4, so we're getting to 280 out of the 368 is just from these 4. They're the primary ingredients, the ones that are mentioned in the Torah. Then we have a few more. The next one is myrrh. What is myrrh? Myrrh, yeah? So let's look at myrrh. This is myrrh. It's a plant That's what people call myrrh in English is a certain plant. It's sap. It comes from the myrrh tree. It smells okay, nothing special.
Question.
But there is many opinions, that myrrh is something else entirely. Myrrh is actually musk. And musk, real musk, that comes from a deer, from a musk deer, is a very expensive item. They would bring it from India to Eretz Yisrael.
It's an ox.
It's a deer.
It's an ox.
No.
Muskox.
Ayal hamask. No, that's a different thing. Ayal hamask. It has if you can look it up on Google exactly the process of how it's today people hunted those deers to get this perfume. In the olden days,
no?
huh?
Aphrodisiac, no?
What's that? No, I don't know. I don't know if it's the same thing. It's called a musk deer. If you look it up in deer musk, that the perfume is called deer musk, and the animal is called a musk deer. And this is it. It's created out of there's a certain blood-like substance that the deer uses to attract shidduch, and to attract his mate. And the picture of it, yep, that's him. He's actually a kosher animal. No one knew that it was kosher until recently. Some people knew, but it wasn't until they located it and they found that it's 100% kosher.
Huge teeth.
Oh, he's a deer.
It's a deer.
Huge teeth.
People didn't know what it is. They would say there's some kind of animal, the famous animal that you make the musk out of. People never went to India, Rabbis didn't travel there. And then there was a whole, dilemma of how could it be that they would use something not kosher in the Beis HaMikdash. And there's different interpretations, different explanations by the rabbis. And they use that today for gelatin, to be able to, for kosher gelatin, they're using a lot of those discussions of, how if it's possible to take something that's not kosher and then do some chemical reactions to it and make it kosher, make it neutral again. Well, anyway, this is actual real musk. By the way, the name Mushka is a Chabad name. Comes from Mushka, means musk. In the Gemara,
Doesn't mean fly?
no, Mushka is
Little
musk.
fly?
That's in French.
A different language, yeah. But the real Mushka comes from musk. There's actually some versions of the Gemara where it says, instead of musk, it says Mushka. So this is, and the bracha on this is Bayre Mine B'Samim. Now, Bayre Mine B'Samim is a bracha that's like a catch-all. It's like, if you don't know what the bracha to make, you make Bayre Mine B'Samim. Usually, you would have to make.
It's not a deer.
It's a
Different family.
It's a different family, but it has the simani kashrus. Yeah, you're right. It's not a. Now they reclassified the families of the animals. This is not considered a deer anymore, but it's still kosher. So Bayre Mine B'Samim is said sometimes when you don't know what bracha to make, if it's a grass or a tree. But this is the only ingredient that the real bracha is Bayre Mine B'Samim. So I'll make a bracha and we pass it around. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam Bayre Mine B'Samim. This is very strong. Musk, real musk.
Nice.
Very good, yeah.
100%.
You never know. They might have sold me a counterfeit. They say the counterfeits are just as expensive as the real musk. The only place that's still legal is in China, and it's an animal that's going extinct. So, in the olden days, they would catch it. The animals sometimes rub themselves against sharp objects to get rid of this, the myrrh, the musk. But you have to be lucky to find it. It's much easier to just kill the animal and then you get all the musk. It's like the golden, what do they call it?
Golden goose.
The golden goose. You kill the goose and you kill the animal. You get all the musk, but then there's no more left. So that is musk. It's interesting. There's an interesting halacha that it's good to put a little bit of musk in the besamim for Motzei Shabbos, so you can make the bracha of Bayre Mine B'Samim without any question.
That's where land.
Okay. So let's go to the next few.
Question?
Yeah.
Is that the only ingredient that's not plant derived?
So like
It seems like the tziporin is also the one that comes from the snail shell is also not.
Did they make them throughout the year, or was there one time when they made all the Ketores for the year?
Oh, very good question. So it says, we're going to see it later, that there was they would do the Ketoret once a year, for a batch of once a year, it's easiest to calculate if you do it once a year. You know the exact numbers, how many pounds of each ingredient.
Right.
If you want to do it for one day, you could, but you have to calculate. You have to be very, careful that the
So
proportion.
they were doing a batch of 368
Yeah.
pounds, basically.
Right.
Roughly.
And interesting is also that they would do some extra. 368 is a little extra just in case it's hard. Some of the ingredients are hard to get, and who knows if they'll always have it.
They
It's good
didn't
to
do
have
it in order to have leftover for the long years.
Yeah, but it says every 60, 70 years there was enough extra for half a year. So they were accumulating. There was always some extra that they would keep around. Let's go on to the next few. The next few are simpler. Ktsia. Ktsia is, there's three ingredients here that are all like similar to cinnamon. It's the same family, made from the bark of different trees. Ktsia is called cassia. We have it over here.
It's basically
And for each of these, for the different cinnamon trees, there's many different opinions. So who knows what's what? Some opinions are like it's like mixing and matching. One guy says this is kinamon, the other guy says no, it's ketsia. So it's hard to know. So this is ketsia, and then we go to shibolet nerd. Shibolet nerd. There's two opinions. If you look here, the translation is what? Spike nard.
Yeah.
Nerd sounds like nard. Shibolet nerd. Spike nard is a certain type of plant, still sold today, and that's one opinion. However, Rashi says that lavender is shibolet nerd, and have a beautiful piece of lavender that Dave just picked from his windowsill, and you can see how it looks. You see the top here?
That's the flower.
That's why it's called shibolet.
Ah.
We
It fits the description. This is shibolet nerd. This is lavender.
After they do it like this, you cut the whole plant down.
The actual color is not
purple.
it's purple, right?
Yeah.
So that's why the lavender tea is purple. That's the color. It smells very good. The bracha for this, you would think it's maybe isvei besamim, but it's not. It's atzei besamim. Why? The halacha talks about this exact item in Shulchan Aruch. It says it's atzei besamim because these leaves are a bit hard. They're not soft. So it's atzei besamim. So you can make another bracha here for fresh lavender. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam boirei atzei besamim. And also pass around the.
You make it again? You make it the same
If
bracha
it's
you
a
made
new,
earlier?
if it's a new something new, different.
So I smell. It's the end of the season.
Here you get the. Here's if you want to smell it better. Here's some
Yeah, I make a beautiful
lavender oil.
Lovely oil.
Yeah, and this is
You
also.
make soap from it. You make soap from it.
Really?
You're gonna be close everywhere to
Oh yeah, my coach it's like spread around.
Yeah,
Everybody can smell everything.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Beautiful.
this is what they pass it around. This is the.
What is this, the oil?
This is the oil, lavender oil. Yeah, pretty much the. This is what it smells like.
I'll take his leaves away.
Here's another little piece. What,
You should take the dried
this is what Dave gave me last
Or
time.
take his
and put it in the drawers to keep them.
Yeah.
Keep moving it around.
Okay.
You take the lavender, you put it in cloth bags, and you put them in your closet.
Yeah, and then it's yeah. So they sell them like this. Where is it? My lavender. I can't find it anymore. Maybe it's
Here it is. Someone's
okay.
Someone's holding it.
Whatever. So they you put a lot of it together in a bag, and it has a very strong.
Yeah.
These lavender teas, I don't know how real they are. I hear there's like artificial. They put in artificial stuff in these teas sometimes to get the effect. Okay, so that's lavender. This is shiboilis nerd. This is shiboilis nerd. It's easy when you say it now, and you can imagine what it is. It has some more meaning. And then the next one is karkom. Karkom is, some people think karkom is today's karkom, yellow turmeric. Yeah, but that's not what karkom really is.
The next street over.
That doesn't fit the description that we have in the sources. The real karkom is this, saffron.
Yeah, because
The saffron is to make saffron, you need to have, from each flower, you can get 3 strands of saffron. And for 1 gram of saffron, you need 150 strands. So if you do the math, for 1 gram, this is 1 gram, it comes in this fancy box with a whole wrapper. and it cost about 30 shekel. And I never used the stuff, but some people, Zafrani is a very common Israeli name. People that work in this business, and the Gemara talks about when it talks about a precious thing. So like when you owe someone a little bit of land, in the deal. Don't just say, it's a little piece of land. Imagine that land was filled with saffron. How much would that be worth? So if 1 gram is 30 shekel, so a kilogram is 30,000. Yeah? 30,000 shekel. Right? Times 1,000.
So, yeah.
Yeah. And you need to have 16 kilograms every year. So, 8 kilograms. So it's 30 times 8. So you get 240. It's expensive. It's one of the, running this business of the Ketoret wasn't cheap. It was one of the big expenses. I don't know if it has a smell. Saffron have a smell?
Yeah, very strong.
Strong? How do you open
What's the bracha for it?
This should be Isavei Besamim.
But it's a flower.
It's a flower.
Yeah,
You
it's
should
a,
put rice and so on.
But the smell's not so great.
yeah.
So I don't know if I'll make a bracha on this.
You're cooking rice.
Yeah, maybe the flavor is good. It could be it has some kind of effect on the...
It's a very mild flavor in
Huh?
food.
Yeah, you
Very-
make them
yeah.
with
In
rice.
food,
it
it's a
makes
very
the whole
mild
rice
flavor.
Well, you
feel
can put in
like
just a little bit to have
It's
to get
also
the effect.
colored. It's colored.
Yeah.
Coloring is the big thing.
Coloring.
Yeah.
So Moir, Ketsia, Sheboilis, Neir, V'karkam, these 4 things that I just mentioned. The second
What's
batch
the first two?
is there's the first 4 that were mentioned in the Torah. Then there's another 4. You look at the paper, you'll see the names to remind yourself. The next 4 were only 16 mana each, rather than 70 each. And then there's another 3, Kosht, Kilufa, and Kinamon. Kosht is actually, the name didn't change until today. It's called Kostas. And the Arabic names that we have for it is also the same. Didn't change. I don't know anything interesting about this bark, but it's bark, yeah. Kosht, I think it's bark. Have to Google it and find out. And we have here Kilufa, yeah. I think this one is newer.
Easier said than
This
done.
one might be newer. Smell this one here. I think that one is from like, let's see. That's Kosht. Can you smell it?
Yeah, very, very fine. And this is?
It's the same thing. They're both koshed. These are the caps. So this is koshed.
all of them together.
Well, there was a rabbi who dealt with this. He did research for 50 years on the Ketoret. His name is Rabbi Burstein. Happens to be he's coming to Carmiel next week.
Really?
Yeah,
Where's he gonna be?
his son lives over here. He's a very famous guy. He's a very fascinating person. So he said that he was, preparing this. He was thinking, let me get the exact combination, and then I'll know exactly what it smelled like. But the problem is, it says in the
Chaya.
if anyone makes the exact recipe,
Me too.
Chayav Misa. It's a very serious sin. So he said, I wasn't, but I'm only learning. I'm not doing it for myself, to sacrifice it. I'm just doing it for learning. Maybe it's okay. He says, I didn't want to come to heaven and they would tell me, Rabbi Burstein, you're the first person you had the merit of doing this special sin, You're the first person that managed to do this. So he didn't want that.
He changed his mind.
He changed his mind. It's like, nah, never mind. I'll play it safe. Now, it's only forbidden if you do the exact quantity, the same proportions. Otherwise, it's okay, but, why take chances? And then we have...
But you don't exactly know what it is, so
mistake,
if you do it.
Okay, so here we have the kosht, and then we have kilufa and kinamon. So everyone knows what cinnamon smells like. We don't have to pass that one around. And kilufa is translated as balsam, but no one really knows. No one really knows. I'll make a bracha on this. This is good. Baruch atah Adonai lemelcheinu b'ya'atzei b'samim.
Amen.
Interesting. A little bit of a citrus flavor. Okay, and now we'll finish off by taking a Lavona, package of Lavona, and let's get the fire, and let's see what it smells like.
While we're getting the fire, I have a question.
Yeah.
There was one thing that you were not permitted to put into the Ketoret,
Uh-huh.
honey.
Yeah, put
Honey.
some-
Oh, very good. Let's talk
someone will
about.
have to hold this by the handle.
Okay, so 1 second. Yeah, you have a great question. It says later about the
Two
fact that
questions.
there's-
What kind of honey are they talking
Huh?
about?
I'll hold it.
What kind
Should I
of
hold
honey
it?
are they talking about in this case?
So,
And why?
so if we look at the next page, it says that the Rabbi Natan says, it talks about the grinding and we have time to get more into it, but at the end, sorry, Bar Kapara. Bar Kapara is the one that talks about the oil, about the
How much
honey.
heat do you need? Is this
Huh?
enough heat or do you need more?
We just need a few
If we'll heat
sticks.
it up, it's a no.
No, I can.
Let's try.
I can put the torch on it, so.
We could try it out. We'll see. So before we get to the Lavona, just 1 second, I'll just answer the question. Honey is talking about date honey,
It's date honey.
and it says, "Ein adam yachal lamad mipnei recha." No one would be able to handle it. So why don't we do it? Because it says in the Torah, you're not allowed to sacrifice honey. Kol sa'or v'kol devash lo taktiru. You're not allowed to put honey on the mizbeach. So the Rambam actually explains, what does it mean no one can handle it? It means literally, Ein adam yachol lamod mipnei recha. You wouldn't be able to stand, you would faint. People wouldn't be able to handle it. That's why it wasn't done, because it would be too intense. So anything that's too intense, you have a very strong smell of
Can we
something.
heat it up?
Yeah, let's go. Lavina. Here is let's fill up some Lavona here.
Oh, yeah.
Let's see what this does.
Nice.
All right. Get ready. Let's see if it's melting. Not yet. It's getting
Can
there.
I see the logo?
Yeah.
I think also for looking funny, they use
Smoky?
Yeah,
Yeah, it's
Lavona was
smoky.
actually- Oh, there we go.
Don't go too strong.
If anyone wants to get close,
Watch out for his hand.
no, it's stop for a second. Stop for a second. Just pass it around. Pass it around. Just don't touch the. It's very hot.
Oh, wow. So it smells like steaks.
Steaks.
Kind of. It smells.
Let's get some more. Hold on a minute. Let me get some more heat over there.
It's good.
Can you smell it?
Oh, yeah. I don't like it.
Oh, there it goes.
Oh, look at this.
It's on fire. Ah,
Okay,
I'm good.
that's not good.
It's okay. It's okay.
Now you might smell the burning scent.
Smells a little bit like
Okay, turn this off.
Yeah,
it doesn't.
Yeah.
It just smells like smoke.
Have a smell?
The smell burnt.
definitely.
Check in all of
Let's
them.
put some more 1 second.
Put in some more.
And once it gets burnt already, it's
Well,
now 1
Burn
second.
frankincense.
Let's put
I think
some-
I'm ready to
I'll keep it
daven.
a little. You ready to daven? You ready?
Yeah, they were nice Jewish boys too.
What's with the salt?
Well, I don't know if the wise men look from the temple.
I guess that fire is very hot.
Do it for the wood, just like it's gonna be.
But it's supposed to be burnt when you smell it.
They would put it on coals.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There was no fire.
If you put it on hot coals,
Just like pure heat.
it'll go up in flames.
Schmeck.
Yeah.
Smells-
Okay,
Can you
smell
smell
the
the
Lavona.
steak?
Yeah.
Can you smell?
So Lavona was actually used on the.
Sometimes I can't figure out
Very hot. Okay, there's actually special equipment if you want to do it professionally. You put the coals and you. Okay. We'll just finish off with one more thing. There is something called Kipat HaYarden, which is also mentioned.
What are you doing? Don't open it. Did you open it?
So it says at the end of the passage that there's also 3 more things. There's Kipat HaYarden. Kipat HaYarden
We'll run out eventually.
is this thing over here. You can have a smell. They put a little bit of this.
Valve closed.
Yeah, he's just bleeding out the hole.
It takes time until the hose burns out. I know, I use different places I use.
So if you look at in the davening, it talks about melach sidomit. There was a little bit of salt because every sacrifice has to have a little bit of salt. That's a rule. Didn't really help. It wasn't there for the spice. For the salt doesn't have any smell aroma to it. Then there was Ma'ale Ashan. What was Ma'ale Ashan? It was a special plant, a secret plant that no one knew, besides for one family that kept the trade secrets, like the Coca-Cola secret, Ma'ale Ashan, and it made the smoke go straight up instead of spreading out. And the idea was, it's about symbolizing the connection between us and Hashem. It should go straight up rather than spreading. It's probably also good for the Kohen not to get it into his face, when he's putting down the Ketoret. He should be able to leave quietly and not get... So this was actually a secret that only one family knew, and they wouldn't tell anybody. They had a whole office in the Beis HaMikdash. This is the most expensive real estate. Everyone wants to be there. They have their own room called Beis Haftinas, where only their family, their kids, their grandkids, and great-grandkids, they're all there. And everyone was very angry at them. Why don't you tell, make it, let everyone else have a chance as well. People are having like the lotteries for having one chance, and you're dealing with it.
They had the same issue with Shimon, too.
Huh?
They had the same issue.
Similar idea, yeah. So what happened? They fired them one day. They said, we'll find someone else. And they hired experts from Egypt, and they were very professional, but they didn't know how to make this, how to make the smoke go up. So they had to bring it Beis Haftinas back. It says after everyone was upset at them and they badmouthed them, and after the destruction of the Beis Hamikdash, it says there was a rabbi. His name was Rabbi Yishmael, not the famous one, a different one. He once saw a kid laughing and crying outside. He's laughing and crying. It's like so weird. What happened? So he says, I'm from the Haftinas family. I just saw the plant that we used to use, the Ma'ale Ashan, and I was happy because the Beis Hamikdash is going to be rebuilt and we're going to use this again. But I was also upset, sad that he says, you're the Haftinas? Why didn't your family, where's that plant? He says, no, I can't tell you. Why not? Why not? He says, I don't want the idol worshippers to find it, and they're going to do the same effect for their incense. So that, that's why we didn't want to give out the secret to anybody. And then he realized, this rabbi realized, that they did it for an honorable reason, and so their name is like sort of whitewashed now after the fact. That their record is clean, that they did it for a good reason. So that summarizes the Pitom HaTeiros.
I thought that was one of the miracles in Pirkei Avot.
Oh, there was such a miracle, but it's not about the Ketoret. That's about the outdoor smoke. When they sacrificed the animals, there was no special chemicals there. That was just regular fire. And over there was a miracle that it would go straight up. But this is about the Ketoret.
You just get a big garbage bag.
The garbage bag.